All right, I'm going to call the Facilities Committee meeting of the Keystone Central School Board of Directors to order here on Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. I'd like to welcome all of the folks that are with us today, both here in person and online. So we'd like to start with the first item on the agenda, and that is, since this is our first meeting of the new school year, new board year, rather, we need to select a chairperson for the committee. And so that's one of the, I'm not sure how we want to do this. I guess we'd take nominations. So since we only have 2 of the 3 committee members with us.
Yeah, I've been trying to call Tom. His voice messages have been full. So I can't even leave him a voice message, just hopefully that he could attend today. So I don't know if he's coming or not. I've been trying for a while. So
he sent me an email that he's working and he can't get off during the day for these meetings.
oh no. Okay.
So do we have any nominations for chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Elizabeth Lynch as chair of the Facilities Committee.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Well, as an ad hoc member, I'll nominate Jeff.
Okay. And since we have only 2 of the people here, I will say, well, first of all, I guess we can close the nomination since there's no one else we can nominate. So I guess we will close nominations, and we will have the vote for who in favor of Elizabeth as chairperson of the Facilities Committee. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. All in favor of myself as chairperson of the Facilities Committee? Say
Yes.
aye.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed?
Oppose.
Okay. Well, vote is 2-1 in favor of myself as chairperson, so I will continue again this year. Moving on, second item on the agenda, a lot of these things are things that are, in fact, I think most of them are things that have carried over from our last meeting. So the first item on the agenda is the where we stand with the HVAC project at this building at the high school. So
yes, and I'll give you an update and see what questions that you have. So about 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, January 17th, and you can see Alyssa from McClure and Company is also on the Zoom call. As she knew this would be a topic of conversation today. The administrative team, which included myself, Rob Pasella, Randy Zhang. Randy, were you part of that meeting? You were not. Nick Varelli was with us that day, the high school principal. And I believe Dr. Redmond, during your transition time, you were here that day and we're also part of that meeting. So in that meeting, McClure had done an updated plan for us with regards to the HVAC system at Central Mountain High School. I think that the board members who've been part of this committee for many years, Elizabeth and Jeff, as well as Butch, know that that's been really high on the list of priorities. We heard too during that meeting how much that system is failing and how much it's taking time and effort and dollars to fix and repair. Teachers have also complained and given us information about the failing systems. Sometimes they're failing. The classrooms are pretty cold, particularly one particular hallway. So what we've been attempting to do is replace them in chunks or systems. We were hopeful that we would be considered for the energy grant, and that didn't work out for us so well. So they've kind of regrouped and have done an additional capital planning for that project. And in short, and I'm going to leave these documents here for you to review for the future. But in short, what McClure has done is broken down replacing the whole system or what needs to be replaced into 3 different steps. And some different options here. And I'm trying to get to that one page where the three options of the project so I can speak to it a little more clearly. Give me 1 second here. This is the 1A, 1B, and the 1C, I think. Wasn't there 3 parts? Where's it? Yeah,
Yeah.
phase 1. Yeah. An energy project for the high school into 3 phases. And their projection was, or their suggestion was phase 1 this summer, which would be the central chilled water plant, the chiller upgrades, and the rooftop units 1 through 3. If you recall, we purchased the rooftop units 1 through 3. We were originally going to think about setting those ourselves, but it's just too much with what's under the roof and all the interconnections. So that project cost just for setting those 3 and updating the chiller water plant would be 1.6 million and change. The second phase has 2 parts. We would do the remaining rooftop unit upgrades and the domestic water heater upgrades. And those 2 projects total would come to about $4 million. And then in phase 3 would be summer 2026, would be automated temperature controls, which is a little over 2 million. And then the central heating plant and boiler upgrades, which is estimated to be another $1 million. So the conversation was that I think we all agree administratively as a team that these projects need to be completed. The problem comes down to funding. And, we're in the middle of an elementary project, and yes, we understand that the upgrades to the system are absolutely necessary. The funding becomes a large part of the issue. And at the time that we met on January 17th, there was brand new information coming out from the governor's budget and about these dollars that are available for school facility projects. And so it's currently our recommendation, as much as we do not want to push pause on this project, it is our recommendation that the district gather more information along with McClure as to how districts go about accessing the funds and what matching dollars, what projects are relevant to there's 2 different pots of money. And so what's the process? To the best of my knowledge, and Alyssa, unless you know something since we've last talked, the governor's office has not established the process yet by which you apply for the funds. They are competitive funds, so you're competing against other schools in the state for the money. I do think that the district is in a good position based on the facility studies that we've been doing, the age of our systems, and the information that we have ready to go. And again, you have to have some matching dollars. So I do think that this is not something that you can always put on your back burner, but I really think that until the information comes through in March about how to apply for these grants, it would be in your best interest to wait and try to access the money for a couple months. The downside of that decision is the lead time on the equipment.
Mhm.
And so if you do have to wait a couple months, but I just don't understand why we would spend $1.6 million when there's a chance in 2 months that you could get a portion of that paid for with state dollars. So the details are in these reports. Elizabeth, if you're interested in picking one up, I'll leave one with Tracy Long for you as well. And then
Can they just email it to me?
I don't know. It's a hard copy. Alyssa, I'll work with you to see if you have it electronically, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, just let me know. I'd appreciate it. And I don't want to, if it becomes too cumbersome, don't worry. I'll just pop in and pick a copy. But if it's something already on a PDF, super terrific. And
So-
thank you, Dr. Martin. I'm already convinced. Wait.
Okay, and that's, if you feel you want to move forward, that you just really need to provide the administration with direction on how to find the funding, because the funding would come out of your capital fund, but the capital fund right now, the dollars that we have, and then we'll be talking later today in the finance committee about the other reserve dollars, how you're planning to use that money for projects you're already committed to. And so again, I just think to be fiscally responsible, it's definitely a project that needs done, but with the governor's change, if they would have left the level up funding in the school
Right.
district's budgets, I don't think you'd be waiting right now. But that's where the main shift has been.
I totally agree with you. I think it's worth holding off for a couple months and see what happens with that money, that funding, because my only concern is if, what's the timeline? Can we finance it up front? And if we get the reimbursement
Not
or whatever,
typically
I
with
mean,
grants, Jeff. Typically, you can't supplant. So if you start the project before you get the funding approval.
but no, what I'm saying is, I understand that, but I mean, as far as, if we were to get the money and there's a delay in getting it, would we be able to go ahead with the project if we want to do phase one this
I
summer?
feel like that would have to be yet to be determined. What I do know, because sometimes there's deadlines on when you get the grants, but I
Right.
can't imagine anybody in the state of Pennsylvania doling out facility money finally after all these decades
Mhm.
doesn't understand that there's also delays in getting the resource, what am I saying, the equipment. I
Right.
mean, we've had delays in every construction project we've had because of just supply chain.
Especially
Thanks,
HVAC.
thanks, Butch. I was looking for that word.
Especially HVAC stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
what Rob's saying, is it
Yeah.
still as bad, Rob?
Yeah, it hasn't gotten any better. Electrical switchgear, HVAC equipment, pumps, chillers. The chiller that she's talking
Could you
about.
use the
in here
mic
has-
so the people at home can hear you?
The, all the stuff, electrical switchgear, chillers, HVAC equipment, all has long lead times. As a matter of fact, the chiller that we're talking about in here has about a 50-week lead time at this point. So, that's kind of why we brought this thing up, but we have to do due diligence and look at the grants and that sort of thing. I
Well,
do
we'd
agree.
be foolish not to. I mean,
Don't we have some of the equipment that we already purchased waiting to set?
We have the rooftops, but we don't have the stuff. As part of the funding, we would need to do the VAVs and all the stuff that's underneath. That's all part of phase one with the chiller. So
Losing.
it's not as easy as just setting the rooftops up there and having them work. So
Then the other thing I'd like to say is that the impact on instruction is that there are some rooms, typically, it's the hallway where the library is, with all the glass, that wing fails the most. And so in order to accommodate if classrooms are too hot or too cold, but in this time of year, obviously too cold, Mr. Varelli's been working with staff. If they feel that it's unbearable, I know a lot of kids are wearing jackets and coats, but if they need to move them to another location. And I would say to you, based on the schedule, and I've talked with Dr. Redmond about that as well, because we're on a block schedule and staff teach 3 out of the 4 blocks at any given time, 25% of the rooms ideally are available to relocate temporary classrooms. Not ideal for long term. So I really think that this is something that has to be addressed. However, when we're talking about huge dollars like this and there's finally money available from the state, I don't know how we don't ethically chase those dollars.
no, you're absolutely right. I think we would be irresponsible if we didn't. So,
And then coming into spring, I know Rob doesn't like to hear this, but if you recall during COVID, we had to regulate classroom temperatures at Liberty Curtin and at Bucktail High School. We still have a lot of those portable air conditioning units. Not ideal, you have to take the window out and vent them to a window, but it does at least maintain a comfortable room temperature that I believe through those measures you could get through to the end of the year and into next year if you had to use those measures to keep temperatures controlled.
right. All right, well, I guess at this point, all we can do is put things on pause for a short time and see what happens with that. I'm always leery when we're dealing with the state with stuff like this, where we're doing putting in for grants and that, with how quickly those wheels move pretty slowly sometimes. So,
It's already been, I think, 3 months that they come up with this process. but
Right.
They haven't developed a way for us to apply for the money. They come up with the idea of Plan Con, but
My-
they haven't come up to typical state. I wouldn't,
my point exactly, they come up with these brilliant ideas, but they never put any process to it. I mean, if you're going to do that, to have a process,
Well,
let's move with it.
I will say that I'm very confident that Joni McIntyre, along with Dr. Redmond, will be attending training sessions that are put out by PASBO and PASA on how to access those dollars. And as that information, as a matter of fact, is there already something scheduled for that about the funding and the processes? Maybe I'm wrong. I was thinking there was something already scheduled.
I think there's three
Three.
different ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
scheduled, and there's Megan, Christina,
Yeah.
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 we're
So
all-
the administrative team is already looking
we're
at,
on it.
Good.
Yeah,
as the
and we-
information
we-
becomes available, that they're there. And Alyssa, I just want to say, I know this is my last meeting with you, but it's been a pleasure to work with you over several projects over the last couple of years. I think you've been a great partner to this school district with McClure and Co. And you've been really helpful to me, getting me timely information, answering questions. And I'm sure that you'll have the opportunity to keep Dr. Redmond in the loop as well.
Yeah,
Thank you. Best of luck. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you.
yeah, you've been a great asset and resource for our school district for certain. With all the different projects we've worked with you on. So, and I look forward to continuing our working relationship with McClure and specifically you, since you have done so
It's
much
been the
for us.
lead, yes. Jeff, would it be okay if I asked the courtesy of doing the number 3 under informational first? Because
Yeah.
I believe the other team members could handle 1 and 2, as I have a conflict now that I have to.
Yeah, I know you have to
Attend to.
leave, so, yeah.
Chair Jeff,
Yes,
I just have a quick comment. Alyssa, how long are you gonna be with us on the meeting today?
You're muted.
Mute monster.
There it is. I guess I can hang on the line.
Okay, great, because then I had a question for you at the end. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
okay, we'll skip down since Jackie has to leave. To number 3, an update on where we are with the Homestead Katy Drive issue that's been going on for nearly a year now, I guess.
So just to refresh memories, since it's been a while since we've talked about it, but we've been talking about the water flow concerns from the school district into the Katy Drive Homestead Estates HOAs. Those HOAs have brought forward their concerns to us. The district has embarked on trying to be a good neighbor and help solve or resolve the issues that were brought forward. We had paid for someone to survey the property line and so forth, and also had the conservation group review all the permitting. And we are functioning as a district the same way in accordance with the permit. So in a sense, there's not anything that we're doing wrong, but nonetheless, the way the sheet flow goes and in the heaviest of rains, it's a pretty overwhelming amount of water that flows right then through Katy Drive. And there was not, when that subdivision was developed, there was not a water
Mhm.
drainage system, I think, or a major plan to address heavier water flow. So we believe that the next step would be because any solution there is not going to be an easy solution. And it's a peninsula. Elizabeth, I believe that was your word. It's a peninsula. And so flowing or redirecting water any direction is going to be difficult. So the next step was we decided that we wanted to get a cost of a study to be done of how this could be addressed. The study would cost $4,800. At that point, this committee decided that we would not recommend paying for the study, since we've already paid about that amount of money for a surveying. And that Bald Eagle Township would also be involved in any type of planning. So I forwarded the estimate to one of the supervisors there. He shared it with Steve Tiselli. He shared it with the remaining supervisors, and has, since we developed this, has gotten back to me and stated that it looks like Bald Eagle Township is not interested in paying for conducting this study. So at this point,
Surprise.
it's going to go back to the homeowners association at this point.
I still, as we have said before, still do not understand why they aren't going to the original contractors who didn't, I don't believe, do the due diligence and plan that water runoff and system, whatever,
You already did.
correctly.
I think.
they seem to try to want to sidestep them all the time when we've talked, they've come to us. Maybe gone to the township. I don't know, the only other entity that's available is the borough. And I don't know how much they would be interested in something like that. So I don't know. I don't know where we go from here, but do the homeowners know that the township has said,
Not to my
Rejected that.
knowledge, unless they've reached out to them outside of here.
okay,
Well, actually, if I could just ask, Rob or John, Jonah, do you know them too, right? The general, between the two of you, if you could reach out and close that loop, I'll forward you the email I have from Buttergill Township. Thank you.
all right, anything else on that? I mean, I guess there's really nothing else we can say about it. Township has said that they're not interested in that. And we've already spent money on it in the way of a survey and so on. So I don't think that it really is,
Yeah, as Jackie said, we determined through the survey and through checking with the Soil Conservation District that the problem was not really ours. And everything we needed to do as far as our permitting has been done.
Mhm.
The problem there's either goes to the township board to the homeowner association, and the homeowners, like I told you, the homeowner association needs to go back on the contractors that apparently must not have done their due diligence, like you said, and got the proper permitting, or this been rectified when that phase was done. So I don't understand why they keep coming to us.
yeah, I think, we're pretty much in the same boat as the township. I mean, if we've already spent money on it and they don't want to spend any, so I think if I was the homeowners, I would be maybe looking at some way to come back on the contractors, and they don't seem to want to do that, so. All right, well, moving on. I'll go back to, I guess, under informational, an update on the Liberty Curtain project as to where we are at this point. I know we had the groundbreaking here a couple weeks ago, and we were at that point waiting on permits and so on from, I guess, from the Center County people. And where are we with that, Rob?
All right, we've had 2 job meetings already with that. All the permitting is in place that we're aware that we need at this point. Everything from the county's back, stuff from LNI is back. Everything is moving along in that. They actually started working up there the day, yesterday they put the silt sock in. They're just in the beginning phases of the project. So we're going to have some informational stuff going out to the parents on how we're going to redo stuff with busing, parent drop off. So that stuff's all moving along. The second piece to I guess the agenda with this is the district is responsible for putting the builder's risk insurance policy in. Both myself and Joni and I think Wanda have been in touch with the insurance agent, and I think we have pretty much everything finalized. I got the final piece of the information I need for that this morning, and we have the quote attached for that. The third thing is, according to the labor and industry, when we do these projects, the contractor can't provide his own testing. The testing is done through the owner. That's part of the soft cost. And we have that stuff back from Q&A for board. It'll be for board approval in February. The total cost on the testing is, it's been back and forth a few times here. I think it's $278,000 for all the testing on that project.
What's the testing encompass?
It's everything from concrete to the stones, structural welds. There's everything that labor and industry requires that we have to do. There's stipulations in there that we have to provide this testing. So this meets the requirements of the permit, but we have to actually hire that person. I'll find the total, $274,084. So now what they also did clarify with me on that is if in the line items. If all the testing isn't used, then that line item will go down, but that was the max it should be. So that'll be, you'll see that for consideration on the February 1st and February 8th for the vote. So,
Who do we hire for that?
well, we do it through QA plus quality assurance. They coordinate the whole thing. They deal with all the testing agencies, and they work with both myself and the architect. So you'll see it going through QA plus, but then they do all the bidding on the other side, and they listed it all in this document that'll be attached to the board minutes. Most of the time, it looks like on here, it's going to be Hills Carnes that does most of the testing. That's the same one we did up at Bucktail. There's a few different ones, but Hills Carnes is the majority of the testing that'll be done through QA quality assurance. And QA actually, because they set this whole thing up, that's where they collect they don't charge us. They work within the manufacturers or with the inspectors to collect their fee for the administration of it.
And the insurance, the builder's risk.
Yeah, that's the builder's risk is the one that's attached here, and
Right.
that's required.
What does that cover?
Basically, during construction, if a wall blows over, the gym floor gets flooded because of a roof drain. That's the one I've heard the most of. You know, a couple different schools have had, gym floors ruined. If somebody comes in and steals stuff, some of those kind of things, they're responsible for most of the time, the contractor's responsible for the deductible. We're responsible for the rest of it.
Does that include any kind of liability as far as, workman injured or something like that, or if there's accidents or?
Their insurance will cover everything for their workman's comp. This is more if theft,
Right,
weather, acts of God type of thing.
damage kind of thing.
And we had to do it on, every major project we've had to put a policy like this in place
Right.
because it's over and above. And I know, Joni, you were going to work with those when we put our insurance back out or whatever to bid the second piece of this, because this is a
Yes.
1-year policy.
Absolutely.
So
And that's the total premium there?
yeah, it wasn't.
16,768. We did get 3 different quotes. 2 from Selective. That's the $10,000 deductible. The $25,000 deductible was $15,620. Such a small difference between the two for $15,000. We might
Right.
as well. It was more fiscally responsible to go with the 10K. Liberty Mutual also did send a quote for 10K, but they were at 17. So, we thought we'd recommend the 16,000 for the $10,000.
And that's
Mhm.
the company.
Mhm.
Okay. No. All right. Anything else on that? Sounds like things are moving along pretty well with that so far.
Yep.
So.
Elizabeth, have a question?
Chair Jeff?
Sure.
Yes, I think about a year ago, we kind of touched on this. We were talking about insurance and I think there was a miscommunication that we weren't liable for anything. It's all on the contractor. Well, then I brought up, what if we put up security cameras on the job site that we own, we run? And again, the conversation dovetailed back to, we don't need cameras because we're not going to be responsible for anything. So here's my question. Let's investigate this. So if we are responsible for some things now and we have to take out insurance, if we have security cameras up, will we get any special discount? Are we not going to put up any security cameras and not discuss it further? So I'd like to know what the people on the committee would like to talk about. Maybe if someone in administration, Rob, your input's always very helpful.
Yeah,
So
I can
go ahead,
answer.
please.
I can answer most of what you're saying. As part of the process we went through, Joni and I went through a lengthy process with these insurance agent or this insurance broker, I believe is what you want to call them. And they wanted locations of the cameras, site lighting, fencing, fire hydrants, a whole list of stuff that we had to provide documentation that would be present. They're satisfied with the cameras that we have existing on the site because all the cameras for the school and the outside of the building are still up and running. They're satisfied with the site lighting, and the contractor is in the process of putting up fencing. So we've already got those discounts because of that stuff. Actually, the insurance companies don't really want to write you unless you're providing some of the stuff that you were asking about earlier.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Rob. It's really, really important. And I think if the public knows that too, coming from you, I think that's really going to be a huge asset. So thank you. It's good to get clarification on that. Good job, Rob.
Thank you.
All right. Anything further on the Liberty Curtain project? I think covered that
Yeah, we're pretty
pretty
good
well.
on that.
Moving on to all our other facility projects we have in the works here. I know the locker room project
I can provide a
is,
little update on that one, Jeff. I got a call about 2 hours ago that the shower valves are either in their possession or in the mail. They expect to be completed on that project Monday, Tuesday timeframe. So they'll we can start using it possibly as early as Wednesday of next week. The district still has a few pieces of metal to have painted for the lockers, but it won't affect the use of it. But as we move those lockers over, we have some, I call it brake metal, to basically keep kids from climbing on top of them and pounding on top of them and all that. So we'll put that angled metal on, and then it'll be 100% complete.
Good.
I think as far as the use of it, we should be sometime next week.
great. All right. The fence project over at Woodward.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair Jeff, thank you. Rob, thank you for the report. And I just wanted to give you a quick update over here in Mill Hall. I see that your gentlemen, the contractors from New Jersey, are here working on we'll say electronics. I don't know if they've made you aware of this or if the homeowner over here has contacted you, but it was fixed. You have those two prison security lights on the north side of the auditorium at the Central Mountain Middle School. And they were on all night long. And that was sort of a concern. And then it was fixed. But ever since, whether or not there's a connection or not, but ever since I've noticed the contractors from New Jersey are here, now the lights are on all night long again. You're just like the street lights. So I just want to let you know that's so hopefully that can be looked at in the near future.
Yeah, we'll
Thank
look at that. Maybe it's something with the time clock. Again, the contractors that are there are part of the rewiring for the network. It's part of that E-rate project that's being done. And that's really being handled by the IT guys. I think they're there on second shift most of the time.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't know if it's a time clock issue or if they had them turned on for an event or something like that, but we'll look into it.
Yeah, they've been on ever since. They've been on all the time. But thank you so much. I know you'll look into it, buddy.
All right, back to the Woodward Elementary fence project.
That's just an informational thing. The fence is ordered as soon as the ground falls. That can be done, and that's also being funded by part of the grant. So that'll be done here early spring. The annual concrete work is on there as a reference for you guys that will be bringing pricing forward for the needed concrete work we have at Renova, Central Mountain Middle School. I believe those are the two we're going to hit this year. I think that's what I have pricing on. It also includes the stuff in front of the football field where you were talking about, Jeff. Mill Hall Elementary, we're working on the office area that's served by Rooftop 1A, completing the work on the VAV boxes. That contractor is dropping parts off to me tomorrow morning. The land project, as Elizabeth just talked about, is still in progress. That is expected, I believe, the March, April timeframe to be completed. It's been their schedule has been kind of all over the place as far as how much stuff they've gotten into, but it's when they can get into the building. Originally, this was a summer project and it's gotten pushed to being done during the school year. So the schedule it was condensed into a 3-month project for a summer. And then because of the late award, because of the E-rate issue we had, it got pushed into the school year. Last I was told, that March, April timeframe. And we're waiting on design from Crabtree on the canopy for Central Mountain Middle School.
Do they have any idea when they're gonna have that?
I will call them back because Jackie emailed Jeff and I thought he said it would be within the next couple of weeks. So I've emailed him, Jackie's emailed him. I'll check with Drew again and see if I can have an update before for the workshop.
Okay, great. All right, it sounds like a lot of these ongoing projects are either complete or nearly complete, some of them, so. we're in
Yeah, a
good
lot of the
shape.
stuff we have on there is just more or less informational for the board so that you can kind of give them an update.
Okay. All right, now that's all that is on the agenda for today's meeting. I know we didn't have a ton of things to discuss at this point, but is there anything else for any new business that we need to discuss at this point? I think,
Chair Jeff?
yes, how did I know you wouldn't have something to add?
Well, I'm so glad Alyssa's here. She gave an incredible presentation with another public school district at the last conference I attended with Rick and Dr. Martin and Roger. So Alyssa, that presentation you gave on your solar program with the school was inspiring to say the least. So before I request this officially to our other committee members, I would like to know if you are asked to come and give a presentation to our committee, would you be interested? Would you like to do that, or are your time constraints really rough right now? So before I put in a formal request.
Yes, we would be interested.
Okay, I would like to make a formal request as a committee member of the facilities that Alyssa or a McClure representative come to our February meeting and give us a presentation based upon their expertise on solar and what they did with another school district recently. So I would like that on the February agenda. And I'd also like to make a formal request for Wes Faringer. He is our DCNR representative for the grant program. Joni, I don't know if you had a chance to go to that webinar, but this is a new thing for DCNR grants, the C2P2 grants. You know, we've always been talking about this, the tennis courts, multiple things can go under the grant program. Anyways, this is new and exciting. In the webinar, I asked the question, do public school districts still need to go through the host municipality to go after the grants? Now, but prior to last year, as I was mentioning, like the tennis courts here, if we were going to go for that grant, we'd have to coordinate with Mill Hall Borough because they would be the entity, but now it's changed. Ready for some good news? Public school districts can apply for the DCNR grants directly. We do not have to go through the memorandum of understanding, MOU, with a host district. So grants are due in April. This is year 4. Maybe we can get an estimate, discuss next month, you know, what Joni can, you know, get Rob. Let's have a little brainstorming and see, let's give it a shot. Okay, it's been 4 years.
Because Rob and I were on
Yeah, you have to
the,
speak to the microphone.
that must be new, Elizabeth, because Rob and I attended that webinar and that was not the case a month ago. So.
Yeah, I was on chat with them. I was on chat with them.
And we talked.
So
a
that's
lot.
probably why you didn't see it. And when they recorded, I know this is when they record it and then they post it to the public later, the live section, you can go in and chat. But when they record it and they put it on the public access, all those chats and all those discussions aren't there. So I know this is new news. I was hoping you'd be as excited as I am. So
Elizabeth,
would
we did both attend that webinar, and we also had a meeting about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Wes. And really, Wes, his kind of take from us was, or take back to us, was that he didn't know that we could really get something to conform for what we needed for some of these projects. When I left that webinar, I wasn't, or not, when I left that meeting, I wasn't super excited about the fact that we felt we could get something, because we talked through a whole bunch of different things with Wes, and nothing really could get to come into how we can make that conform. And that was right after we came back, beginning of January, first week in January, because we had attended the webinar and then went through that. And Wes kind of agreed with us as far as trying to get something to conform. We really need to partner with like Mill Hall Borough or something like that, similar to how they did the pool. But there wasn't anything we could really get to conform well as the school district. And I think I did see your question about in the chat or whatever about school districts applying. And I asked him when we met with him, I mean, we can meet with him again, or we can talk with him again if that's what the committee directs us to do. But
I definitely want to, because when I talked to Wes, when I talked about the tennis courts and how much the community loves it, and how much they use it, as far as, you know, making it ADA, possibly pickleball. I mean, that was just one of a larger picture. I'm just use that as an example. And when I spoke with him, he said it sounded like, yeah, that would fit the ticket. And, you know, we've got the one in the Bucktail campus. I mean, I'm just using one example. So yes, I definitely want Wes to talk to the school board committee members who are on facilities about this. Yes, I am requesting officially, yes.
Do you think we can invite this Wes to our next facility meeting in February and have him come talk to us?
If he's given enough notice, I asked him, I said, in worst case scenario, if he doesn't have time to drive, at least he can zoom in. You know, 15 minutes might be a great 15 minutes, and we might be highly disappointed, but I think we're at the point now that yes, I'd like to make a formal request that Wes Faringer be invited. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, we're gonna have a heck of a long meeting next month. If we're gonna have Alyssa do a solar presentation, and
Well,
we're gonna have Wes Faringer here.
I would
Um,
suggest that the Wes here for the February, I think it's February 27th, the next facility meeting. Have him come to the facility meeting and discuss it. And as far as Alyssa making a presentation on solar, I think it's too late to do the February meeting. The agenda's already set. And I don't know if she can prepare her stuff in time, but I think we could put her on for the March.
I was gonna
meetings and have
suggest
her-
that.
Have her come to the March meeting, make a presentation to the board at the March 6th meeting. Yes, sorry, thank you. March 7th,
You mean to the full board
March 7th.
or the committee?
March 7th work session.
Oh, I think the work session would be fabulous because, I mean, I didn't want to, you know, intrude that way, but yes, President Butch, yeah, if you can get her on, if it's okay with Alyssa, you know, Alyssa,
would
we don't
give her
want to
time
speak for
to-
you.
That would give her time to make the presentation for us or prepare a presentation to give us. We can put her on for that. It might be a good presentation for us to have at that work session. And go-
Great. Great. And Alyssa, just a quick bug in your ear. I know one of you, during your presentation, you talked a lot about, you know, the infrastructure for the roof, for the weight capacity, and a lot of schools don't like them on the roof. Some like them on a field. But something I've been researching, and just to put a little bug in your, I'm not asking for any comment now, but I have seen installations on the sides of buildings, and I am really excited about it. So just a little bug in your ear. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
All right. So just to recap here, I guess what we've suggestions that have been made here that West Farringer come to our next facilities meeting at the end of February and present about these DCNR grants and what we may or may not be able to do. I've gotten two different stories here about it, whether we can or can't do it. So maybe you can offer some by way of clarification here on what we actually could do with this if it's possible. And have Alyssa come to the March work session of the full board to present her presentation on solar for what we may be able to do as a district with some solar projects. I know we had looked at that with that federal grant that we put in for here last year and almost we were one of the finalists on it. And if that would have been the case, we'd have had a lot, been moving ahead with this, not only solar, but the HVAC and all the stuff that we were talking about again today. So
Jeff, the only caveat, I think, to the March 6th meeting, that's during the PASBO, which Alyssa will be at, and myself also. I think Joni might be there also.
March
Uh,
7th.
Yeah, we're there for that.
7th.
We're there for 3 days.
what
for
if,
that.
what if they came to the following week to the voting session? Or I mean,
That could be done,
whatever.
or if we let it go till April, because I think we'll know more in March with the whole grant scenario.
Sure.
And we may know when they make the presentation, it may be better in that April timeframe, because we're gonna know more about how the funding and how some of those projects may work with that funding. Would you be all right with that, Elizabeth? If we made it in the April meeting, we could get some of that. Well, no, everything's supposed to be announced in March as far as how the funding for these federal dollars are going to flow in these energy projects. And it may make more sense to have that presentation then. I wouldn't be able to attend the one in March, and I'm thinking that Alyssa's going to have a conflict there because I know she presents at PASBO and she's a
Mhm,
speaker there.
Well, Alyssa, would you be able to come to our voting meeting in February, or would that not give
Not
you?
February,
No.
not February. March.
I mean,
already-
it's like, I keep saying Feb. I'm wrong. March. Alyssa, seriously, would that work for you to come to our voting second Thursday of the month voting session? Would that be okay, Alyssa? Would you have
It
enough
may-
time?
Yeah, March 14th or the April 4th work session, either works for me. So if you guys talk about it, I would like to possibly meet with the administration prior to the presentation just to review them as well, if that'd be possible.
I think,
Well, I prefer to keep it in March because we keep bumping and bumping, then something else is gonna come up. So unless something really is bad for Alyssa, I really wanna, we do a little catch up. I've been waiting for 4 years.
The only thing is, Elizabeth, like Rob was saying, if we put it off, we might have more information on this new plan con and that way she can come in with all the information instead of giving part of it then and part of it at a later date.
right.
Well, it's really two separate things. The McClure program is a completely separate program. It has nothing to do with grants or anything or funding. That's why I think having that information ahead of time, so we can compare, the group can compare what our options are. There's no cost to the district under the McClure program. So I don't want to say anymore, please, but I definitely want to get her on the sooner the better. So I prefer March.
Listen, whatever's best for you, just let us know.
Yeah, Alyssa,
Yeah,
if you want to reach out to your team, figure out to make sure you have the time to get everything prepared and to get it back to us. Those are the two dates that we could entertain. You want to just reach either back out to myself or Frank, new superintendent. Let us know and we'll get you on the agenda.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll check
just-
with my team and get back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just let us know what suits best. So, all right, I think that should hopefully wrap things up here unless any other new business. We've covered quite a bit here today, so. All right, if hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. I will second that.
Second.
All right, the facilities meeting is adjourned.